morning, welcome to this Mark's Reviews and Tutorials video. We're doing some repairs today on a Clever cleaner, K-Bot RX1. This is a Dolphin cleaner. This is their base builder model, if you like. Very, very popular. It's got a bag in it to clean the system. And we're just going to be pulling him apart today. We've got an issue and pretty sure we're going to be replacing the cable on this guy. So I'm going to show you how to do that, but I'll show you how to go through and do the diagnosis, work out what's going on. Firstly, with these guys, it's a matter of checking out just as general condition, just to see what sort of conditions it's in. You're firstly going to be making a decision as to whether you're going to bother to repair it and spend money on it, or if you're going to be replacing it and buying a new cleaner. I'll put a link up here to a video referring to a Hayward Tiger Shark. If you are looking at replacing, that's the one that I recommend. Very well built, good and reliable unit. So underneath here, normally when you look underneath, there's the sole plate. I've taken that off already in the bag. That's where it all comes out. This is the motor and board assembly, and you've normally got a little cage like this sitting in over the top. There's just a couple of screws here and here to undo to take that out. That's just a filter to keep the bag and everything away from the motor. Now, I don't recommend opening this motor container if you don't need to, but it's just a matter of undoing all the screws around here, and there's an O-ring seal. I'll undo it so you can have a look inside. I've already inspected here. This one's in good condition, but I'll rip that cover off and show you inside. Guys, for these automatic cleaners or any robot cleaners at all, stopping is what they call water ingress or water getting into the works. Now, if I have a look in here, there's a couple of motors. This guy here drives the propeller on the top, which pulls the water through. It shoots water out the top. Out the top here, you can see the little impeller or propeller that's there. And what it does, it drags water through here, which brings it through the bag, through the slots in the bottom of the unit. So that's how it works. It's pumping it through. This motor on the side is the drive motor. It is what drives the wheels and motivates it along and moves it around. So pumping water through so it vacuums, driving the unit around. Now, having a look in here, this has stopped everything. Both motors have gone. So for starters, if you've got one motor out, that's a good hint. If it's not driving, but it is sucking the water through, or if it is sucking the water through and not driving, you can look at these motors. Down here, the board is another place to have a good old look at, because if this is burnt or fried in any way, then obviously you're looking at replacing that board to fix the problem. Now, in this case, both motors look good. There's a pack here, a moisture absorbing pack. There's been no moisture in here at all. When I first opened it, you check the walls and just see if there's any moisture inside at all, and there wasn't, so that's not the issue here. And then the next thing you do, you get your power pack, and with these guys, they've got a little light on the top, so you plug it in and press it. If you're getting the lights, that's a pretty major test that there is actually power coming through. But you can do a test with a multimeter here on the side to check the voltage is coming out from the pins. Now, I'll put a link up here to a video. I'll show you how to use a multimeter to check voltage, to see if there's any voltage coming out of the power pack. And then plug your cord in. And what I've done so far at this point is I've also checked when the cord's plugged in. I know that there's voltage coming out of the power pack, but when the cord's coming in, I've checked across this motor here, and I've checked the main voltage down here, the plugs, and there's no power coming through that I can find here. So the next step, I've got to pull this motor assembly out and pull the cord out from the top and just check exactly, because if it's just a matter of replacing the cord, and this unit's in good nick, so it's worth repairing. You can buy complete motor assemblies as well, like the whole sealed unit with 2 new motors and a board, but we'll look at that. Talk about that a little bit later. I'll put links to all the spare parts too that are available that you can get. I'll even put links for different brands of cleaners so you can have a look through at what parts you can get for yourself, including the cord. So, all right, I'm going to turn this back over. As you can see, the clamps here, this is detached from the other side. So we're going to take the blue top off, and then we're going to be able to get this motor out and then have a look at the connection where the cable goes through. I'm going to come in from the top, just 2 screws off here to get this cover off, and then 4 screws around the top here, and we'll pull the top half off the cleaner. I've got those 4 screws out, but it's not coming away yet, so we're going to undo the purple covers. That happens on the inside, in under here. You can see there the screws. The 4 screws going down onto the little latches on the inside of here, and now we're able to get this cover off. And the float pops through there, which is great. Okay, so now we're into the top of the motor. It's a chance to clean out some of the leaves that have gotten into the top, and obviously this is what's required if you get leaves blocking and jamming up your drive. So the lead comes in at this point here, and this is a threaded fitting. So a pair of pointy nose pliers is going to go into those holes. Then, as you can see, we can undo this, spinning it out. The plug out, you can see it's coming down to a rubber crush washer, which comes out, and there's your plug. So we're out now from that motor top. So what we can do now is, of course, plug this in again and check if there's any power coming through to the end here to the lead. So I connected it all up, plugged in the power point, and put the power through, and there's no power. There is power at the power pack. You see I've unplugged it there, but when I plug it in, there's no power coming through to these leads here. So it is somewhere in the cord that's the problem. Just one more thing to check, and that is this point here. And again, it's got another screw cap. So again, to get this undone, it's a little bit dicey with just one hand, but you get your pointy nose pliers again, and sit them on the V at the top there, and one on one side, one on the other. You see there's a couple of retractable pins there on a spring and retractable there, and down inside is the 2 faces that they spin on. This is how it keeps the cord from getting twisted. And so again, there's another point. You can check to see if the power is getting through to there, to see where the problem is. There's different part numbers. I'm going to take a screenshot of the part numbers for the cable and some motors and bits and pieces. I will put links in the description, but I'll also put some part numbers up in the video as well for you. But it's a different part number with the full cable or with the float and the plug and this plug as well. Okay, so the part has arrived, the cable has arrived. For this cleaner, here's the part number. She's a genuine Maytronics cable, and the part number's down there, the 999 number, and it's 18 meter, as you can see there. So we'll take him out of the bag. Now, the reason that I went for a complete cable, you can undo it here at the swivel, and see that's the short end there. It's only the short end that was broken on this one. The reason I replaced the entire cable is I would have had to get a brand new one of these going into a very old one of these. And just with the client and the situation, I didn't want to put old with new. I wanted to replace the whole thing. That was what the client wanted, so that it would keep on going for a long time from here. So it is just a matter of using this compression fitting and doing that up. There's the threaded piece we saw before that'll go back in with the rubber. I will put a little bit of silicone onto there because rubber can tend to grip, particularly something like that when it's doing up, and it can tend to not quite go down so hard. Just the smallest little bit of silicone-based lubricant on there, and that'll slip rather than grip, which just lets it go that little bit tighter and stops it from pinching or anything crazy like that. So we take the new cable, we have to come through the housing, so poke it through like that. As I said, put a bit of silicone lubricant on the rubber. It just will make it seal down better. I mean, it preserves the rubber as well. Have a look at the links in the description on the video, and I'll put a link to some silicone. And it's actually a company that will post it anywhere in the world. So no matter where you are, you can get this. And anytime you're working with rubber, it's going to help. When you're tightening something down, a threaded thing down on rubber. So I'm going to attach this in. As you can see, there's a slot in the plug, and if you look down there, you'll see there's a slot on one side of this triangular plug, so there's only one way that it can go. So we go down there, lining up the slots, it goes right down home. We press that rubber down, and then we put this in, screw it in as far as we can by hand, and then the same way we took it out, get the pointy nose pliers, in there, and we can do that up. Now this is going to be one of your very important waterproof seals, so you do it up. Now again, it's plastic. There, that's beautiful. That is fantastic. Obviously make sure it doesn't cross thread, but that's in and watertight. Now we're going to just set a comfortable curve around here, obviously keeping it away from the impeller. Put the clamp back on, and then I'll show you the spring when we put the top back on. All right, so now we're putting the top back on. We'll just get the top back on and square to start with. All these little plastic feet have to end up inside, all 4 of those. Like that, and should sit on snug like that. Then you see this spring ends up in there. Now, the reason it's there is to stop real sharp bending and kinking on the cable. You can see the screws we've done up here. So when you're pulling on this, it's not pulling on the joint or anything like that. It's just pulling on that point, and then the spring is to stop it from bending or, you know, the sharp edges doing anything on the cable. Spring in place, hold the door in, then she comes down flush like that, and we're ready to do up these screws. So now we get these guys and put these 4 screws back in. So because we opened this up to inspect it, we need to put the screws back in. Now the O-ring is lubed on here, so it's all good, I'm happy with it. But in the same way in a car, when you're putting the wheel back on, you have to get it square. It's the same with this. You don't just start off and go around in a circle. So you put one in this end, one in this end, and then probably one in the middle, and then do them balanced so that it pulls down nice and tight. Okay, so now these 4 screws, if you look down here, the little purple tabs on this guy, whatever color your top is, and this is needs to be screwed back into place here and here.
Okay, so we're going to set this in here, and how we do that is simply slotting them into these slots here. Very economically advanced. And so we can slot them into each slot, which can take a bit of time. Got those 2 going. And the next 2.
Step. Get this down and flat. If you do have to make sure the cord's not sticking out down here, so make sure that when you're putting the cord on, don't leave too much of a curve. It needs to be able to let this basket come on. And this basket keeps all the leaves and debris all off the top of the motor and away from the motor. Okay, you want to put that last screw in? You'll know it's all down and in the right position when the holes line up. Screw in the last screw here, and then it's just normal bag replacement. We just put the bag on, stick it back down, do up the clamps, and she's ready for a trial. I will do a dry run here. And if you decide not to repair your cleaner, have a look at the links that I've got in the description for some really good prices to buy cleaners. I actually like the Tiger Shark by Hayward. It's very well made. Have a look at that one. And I'll put some links to some spare parts and cables and bits and pieces for these as well. So have a look at those links in the descriptions, and hopefully they'll help you out. Okay, so we're going to give it a test. Give the button a press. And there she goes. She's off and running. And we also need to check that the propeller's turning. And we're all good. So we're ready to put him back in the pool.